In the following tutorial, I cover the Epic Games add-on Send to Unreal. I'm going to demonstrate setting up the add-on, then sending an asset to the engine. The window asset is available to download from my website. There may seem like a lot of setup, but most are straightforward and worth the effort. Let's get started. The Blender to Unreal add-on streamlines the workflow between Blender and Unreal Engine. Add in Quixel Mixer and Quixel Bridge and the Megascans library, and you have some very powerful tools to supercharge your creativity. First off, we need to get the add-on Send to Unreal. I can drag in this browser and just make this full screen. Before you get the add-on, there are a couple of things that need to be done, and we can look at those in a few moments. First, I can type in Blender to Unreal and just search for that Unreal website page. Here we have an unrealengine.com site with the information on the add-on. This page has information about the two add-ons that were released by Epic Games. This tutorial will just cover the Send to Unreal add-on. I will try and add an in-depth tutorial on the second add-on, UE2 Rigify, at a later stage. If we scroll down below here, we can read that to download the add-on, you will need to log into your Epic Games account and then link that account with your GitHub account. That means you will need both an Epic Games and GitHub account. So once you have both those accounts, you will find detailed information on linking both accounts from this link here. After that process, we are ready to move on through this link to the documentation and the add-on. This brings us to the Epic Games Blender Tools page. And down below here, you will find detailed information about the add-on in the documentations link. We can click download to open the add-on page. All the releases are listed. Here I can select the most up-to-date version, this one here, the zipped UE file. We can choose the location. Usually when I download an add-on for Blender, I try keep them in a dedicated folder. This helps just keep them organized, and it's also very easy to find and update if necessary. This is a zip file and there's no need to unzip it, as that will be handled by Blender when installing. So I can choose this folder, now save that. The next step is to open Blender and we can install the add-on. So let's come up to the edit menu and we can come down here and open preferences. First off, we can open the add-ons tab on the side here. Then up the top, we can click install add-on. That will open the file browser. So just navigate to where you saved that Send to Unreal add-on, select it, and now click Install Add-on. Blender will install it, and when it's complete then the add-on should appear here. If not, you can search by typing the name up top. Put a check mark in the box to enable it. When the add-on is enabled, 4 new folders get created in the outliner. These are the Mesh, Rig, Collision, and Extras folders. These are added, and it's important for any mesh objects to be added to the mesh folder if you want to send them to Unreal. Any rig objects need to be in the rig collection, and the collision collection then stores any collision objects you have. The extra folder is something that's handled by the add-on in the background, and you usually don't need to do anything with that. Also, a new menu called Pipeline gets added to the header of the 3D view. Here you can import objects and send objects directly to the game engine. I can press F4 and open back up preferences. We can look at the basic settings in the add-on. In the Paths tab from the drop-down, you can just send the mesh to Unreal, export to disk, or both. I can leave this set to send to Unreal. In the mesh folder, this refers to the folders that get created when you are sending objects across to the engine. Game here refers to the content folder inside Unreal. Usually within the content folder, you'll set up the folder structure to organize your assets. Here you can set up how you want that structure created for any mesh, animation, or skeleton assets that you're sending into the engine. I can update the mesh folder to be just game, and inside that, create a mesh folder. You can do that for the animation and skeleton paths also if you have those assets. For the rest of the add-on, the defaults are going to be fine, so we can just close this add-on. Before we move on any further, we need to update the unit scale in Blender. To do that, we can open the Scene tab. In Unreal Engine, 1 unit equals 1 centimeter, and in Blender, 1 unit equals 1 meter. We can update the unit scale here to 0.01, and that way both applications are in centimeter. If you want to have values inputted and displayed as centimeter, then change that from the length dropdown. I can set this to millimeter, as that's how I like to work. Reducing the scene scale in Blender results in the camera clipping settings reducing also. We need to update these settings or large objects will get clipped from camera view over a certain distance. So let's come up to the sidebar and just click this to expand it and open the View tab. The first camera clip setting is Clip Start. Having this too high clips the camera view if you are beyond that distance. Or having it too low, as is the case now, causes flickering. I find setting this to 3 mil avoids flickering and it's a good distance. The second setting is the End Clip. If the scene camera moves out beyond this distance, the view is clipped and the model starts to disappear from view. Depending on the size of your scene, you can adjust those accordingly. Here I can set this to be 10,000 meters. Adding M just specifies the unit. Without inputting the M, this would just be 10,000 millimeters. So let's take a look then at importing the asset from the website. I have the asset available on my website and we can add that in here now. So rather than Model 1, importing will be a lot faster. If I open a web browser, it can be found at this address. We just need to scroll down this page and the asset can be found down here. I can download it and save that somewhere locally. This is a zip folder that contains an FBX and also a PNG file. The PNG is just a color ID mask I baked in Blender for this window object. You need to unzip this folder so we can import the mesh object. So let's open back up Blender and look at importing this FBX file. From here I can press A to select everything and press delete. To import this asset, let's press F4 and from import choose Import Asset. Navigate to where you have this saved and unzipped. In the folder, I can select the window FBX and choose Import. Press the Home key to just bring that into view. This asset has a basic material on it, as we can see over here in the Materials tab. Make sure and save your file now and we can move on and set up the Unreal project. So hopefully you have Unreal Engine installed and we can launch that now. We need to set up our Unreal project file and link that on setup of Quixel Bridge. This is Unreal Engine 4.26 and after you launch, it will open up to the project category tab. The Unreal version number isn't important for this tutorial once it's 4.23 or newer. From here I can choose the game's category. Now click Next. Unreal have different templates available and I'd recommend opening these up as they can be a great source of information and a great starting point to get your projects up and running quickly. For this tutorial we can choose the first person template. This will just allow you to walk around and inspect the asset after you import it. Now click Next. These next settings can be left at default. They're just the blueprint, maximum quality, ray tracing disabled, desktop console and no starter content. Below here we can choose a location for the folder. This is just my default Unreal project library. The new project will be saved inside this folder. You can click the folder icon here and just select the location where you want to save your project file. Next, we can give this project a name. I can call this Send to Unreal. That is the project ready, so now we can just click Create Project. That will work through and set up the project and it'll open up into the Unreal Engine editor. Now there are a couple of add-ons we need to enable for the Send to Unreal add-on in Blender to communicate successfully with Unreal. Let's come up to the edit and down here to plugins. In search, I can first type in Python. You need to have the Python editor script plugin enabled. So make sure there's a check mark in that. Also, we need to search for the editor scripting utilities and enable this here also. When you enable these, a restart is required, so go ahead and restart that now. I can X this down. Once the restart is complete, one final change, If we come up to Edit and open Project Settings, in search I can begin typing Remote Execution. This should appear here, Enable Remote Execution, so just put a check mark here to enable that. This will allow the engine accept commands from the Blender add-on. With that done, we can X this down. Now we can import the asset. Your Unreal project needs to remain open in the background, so just leave this open and let's come back to Blender. For this to work, the mesh object needs to be in the mesh folder. So in the outliner, we can either grab this and drag and drop it over the mesh folder and place that in here. Alternatively, in the scene, you can press M and just move it into the mesh collection from here. So once it's in the folder, we're ready to export to Unreal. So let's come to the pipeline menu and from export, click Send to Unreal. This will now export and import to the engine. So let's open back up the project. If we click back to the content folder, we can see a mesh folder has been created here, so we can double click inside. The window and the material have been successfully imported. So we can grab the window and just drag and drop that into the scene. This asset can still be updated in Blender and exported with the updates. Really nice workflow between the two applications. That was the tutorial and I hope you found it useful, and that's where I leave it.